everyone. Welcome to a special live 451 degrees on the Unsafe Space Network. I'm joined by Beverly.
Hello.
Hi, Beverly. I know we ran a little bit behind, and but it's okay. So we're talking about right now the recent uptick in censorship that's going on. So my last show was about the awesomeness of Twitter by being bought by Elon Musk and how awesome that was and how we were all excited about what was going to happen with that. I'm still excited. I still think it's a good idea. And even today, I'm no links for this one, just bringing it up. He was asked, would he bring someone would he unsuspend someone like Trump? To which he said, yes, he doesn't really believe in permanent bans.
Okay.
Yeah, he said that, and like people were, the guy who was interviewing him was sort of like, well, so you're okay with him like essentially inciting violence or whatever is what he said.
I like the character that you did there too. Oh, well.
Yeah. I'm like making fun of them because they're being stupid.
Right.
But he said that like he might ask them to take a tweet down, but which is still kind of a form of censorship.
Yeah.
If he felt like it was beyond the law, but that he didn't believe in permanent bans, except for like, I think he said bots and spam accounts, which is reasonable. I think that's reasonable. Bots are not human beings. They don't deserve, you know,
they don't have the rights that humans do.
Exactly. Well, and spammers are from the seventh circle of hell, so I don't really care that much. I'm kind of joking, kind of not, but he did say that that he would essentially unban Trump. So everyone's like, oh, is Trump going to be back on Twitter? And Elon Musk, I loved it because he was like, hey, everyone, got to remember that Trump said he's never coming back to Twitter, even if he was unbanned. So just remember that. And yeah. And I think a lot of people are kind of like not remembering or don't know that Trump has said that, essentially.
Yeah, I vaguely remember him saying that. I didn't know does he always stick to everything he said? So I didn't know, like, would he change his mind?
He might change his mind. That's fair. But like, so a few days after Elon Musk bought Twitter, the Biden administration came out with their disinformation board. And the thing is about that, I know that other shows on the network have talked about it, and I don't really want to like say the same things that they've said. Like, I don't want to repeat what Carter has said. However,
no one was listening to him anyway. It's okay.
Yeah, I've got a different audience. But one of the things though is that there are a lot of people on the right who are criticizing this board, but some of them are criticizing the board not for its very existence, which is the actual problem, but because of who's running it. Which and I've heard other people say this too, like people who were not on the left or the right, or you know, who find this thing scary. They're like, oh, she's really scary. She is. She's a very scary woman.
Is
the
she?
things. Yeah, like in a I'm a really nice person. Like,
one of those. Hiding. Okay, yeah. Those people are terrifying.
Yeah, they're way scarier than like a scary big like tatted guy.
No one's like outwardly, because the other time then you're hiding it and just
you're covering up that you're terrifying.
Yeah, and so people don't know until it's too late.
Exactly. She's one of those people who hides behind conciliatory behavior, essentially.
Yeah.
But so they're saying that it's not a problem that there is a disinformation board. It's a problem with who's running it. Oh my God, that's the scary part. And Tulsi Gabbard has said that, and this is the first.
That's the first link. Okay.
The first link, yes, from Tulsi Gabbard.
Oh, it's not gonna let me. It's not just Democrat or every dictatorship. It won't let me choose which one's the first one on here.
It's the one that says it's not just the Democrats.
StreamYard doesn't, like, I have it ordered on my tabs, but StreamYard's like, let me just put it in any order that I want.
That's very handy.
That's why I was confused.
Yeah. She says, and I've seen some other people say this in the same kind of vein, that it's some influential Republicans have been okay with it, just because they're just not okay with who it is. And yeah, one said, this is an important function of the DHS, but they put the absolute wrong person in charge of it. And that's her quoting someone. To which she replied, rubbish. The problem is the board's existence, not who's in charge of it. I 100% agree with her on this. And this is already how I felt. So I was like, there's a reason why she's popular with a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because she sometimes says things that are absolutely like, yes, definitely, I agree with you. And then her second tweet, this is the one that's about dictatorship.
There we go.
Yeah, every dictatorship has a propaganda arm, a ministry of truth. The Biden administration has now formally joined the ranks of such dictatorships with their creation of the so-called Disinformation Governance Board. And again, I agree with her. There's no such thing, by the way, as good propaganda. So there's this thing, this idea that this is just supposed to protect us from external foreign propaganda coming in.
That's what it always is protect you from the bad people.
Well, and see, my problem with that kind of thing is that they always have some excuse that you could kind of get on board with, like with Apple's, we're protecting people from child pornography by looking through all your photos. That's not really why they're doing it. That's their excuse.
That's the excuse, right?
Yeah. So, and I feel like, again, that the whole foreign propaganda protections is just an excuse to control narrative. And that's what the Disinformation Governance Board is actually about. It's about controlling narrative, which is why it is 100% what a dictatorship would do. There is no such thing as good propaganda, because here's the thing. The US government, the US people, we're not the same. And and people within the US government are not all the same, and people within the US are not all the same. Our interests are all different. There is no way that propaganda could be good for all of those people.
I'm confused. Wait, people are individuals with like different ideas than one another? I can't fathom that.
And that's why I argue there's no such thing as good propaganda, is that because there's literally no way because, for example, let's say that there's propaganda that we should be involved in a war, and including sending troops over there. And it's for the good of the world. It's for the good of our nation, whatever. The problem is that it's not going to be good for people living in poverty whose young men and women decide that enlisting is the only way that they can, pay for food and stuff. And then they end up going to this foreign war. It's not in their best interest. There's no way it is. So there's no way that propaganda that supports a war would be good for them. There's no such thing as good propaganda. It's just not true. And that's one of the reasons why I have a problem with this woman and the whole board. Now, here's the thing about that woman, and I just want to say this. I didn't get the clip, but there is a clip of her singing to, I don't know. You know it. She's singing that Mary Poppins song, Supercalifragilistic.
Oh, no, I haven't seen this actually.
Oh, you haven't?
No.
Oh gosh, it's kind of funny.
Should we watch it?
Maybe we should find it. It's kind of funny. I'm a little worried. And one of the reasons why I didn't give it to you is because, like, I'm a little worried about YouTube grabbing it for copyright claim.
Yeah.
So, but it's the Mary Poppins Supercalifragilistic song where she's singing about disinformation and misinformation, and like everyone's reaction to it was hilarious too, because they're like, this is terrifying, this is horrifying, this woman is like, they're like, look at her eyes, she looks insane, and she does. I'll give them that. It's not
hilarious. That's so cringe.
It is very cringe, but the funny thing, my reaction was, she can sing. She
Really?
can go into musical theater. And if she did that instead of what she's trying to do now, I'd be totally on board with that.
Do you think maybe she did try? Maybe that was her first dream job and then it didn't pan out for whatever reason. So she just went into let me ruin everyone else's lives.
Maybe. I know, like, it is kind of funny, but I've heard rumors that she's friends with Taylor Lorenz, by the way.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So like that they are actually know each other. So it's like, this is the kind of people
bode well.
Yeah. Now so on the point of what Gabbard said, that would that this is bad no matter who's in charge of it, which I agree with. Would they be okay with the Democrats, with the Biden administration? Would she be okay with this in the hands of their enemy? And I think it's the first, yes, it's Twitter. Who's it by? Just want to make sure I'm giving you the Mazemore is the name.
That one. Okay.
Yeah, Mazemore.
Yes. Okay. Hang on. Share this tab instead.
Now this one we want to watch. It's kind of funny. Would they be okay with this in the hands of their enemies? Let's find out.
Do you want to read the text first, or just for listeners?
Yeah, May 2020, Nina Jankowicz was horrified at the idea of the executive branch, parentheses Trump, having any say in what is true or false. She uses Poland's Ministry of Digitalization as an example of anti-democratic online governance. She also admits to being funded by Facebook.
Okay, well, here we go. Can you hear that?
No, I cannot.
Well, then here we don't go. Try this again. I hate StreamYard. Oh no, I was gonna say, here's what happened last time. It like doubled up and it was like, you're still sharing after I hit stop sharing. And then technical difficulties. Maze on Twitter. Okay, let's try this again.
With President Trump right now.
You hear that?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Imagine that, with President Trump right now calling all of these news organizations that have inconvenient for him stories that they're getting out there, that he's calling fake news, and now lashing out at platforms. I would never want to see our executive branch have that sort of power. And that's why, the legislative process with our duly elected officials is really important, that sort of consultative rulemaking process. And we can't just govern by executive order anymore. I think I'll leave it there. I think the reverberations in the free speech space are huge. Not to mention, this is exactly what Section 230 was designed to do, to allow the platforms to enforce the standards on their own spaces. So I think, the entire conversation is being obviously blown out of proportion for political reasons. I'm super, but in the more democratic countries, I'm thinking in particular of Poland. Poland has established consultative.
So one of the problems, first of all, the whole idea that we cannot govern by executive order is hilarious, considering how many executive orders came out of the Biden administration within the first 3 days alone.
Right? But no, that would be terrible if we had anything that contradicted. I don't know.
Well, and then on top of that, also, she says that, Section 230 is supposed to allow these platforms to govern themselves, essentially, and we don't really want the government involved in their what content is allowed or isn't allowed. And not that long after this video, like once the Biden administration took over, they told Facebook to act like 12 different accounts for disinformation, and they did it.
Yeah. Wow.
And 3 of those accounts are suing them.
Good.
For it. Yeah. And like hopefully something will come of that, because that is a violation of the First Amendment. But so to me, it's just it's so silly. Like, so you aren't okay with it if she's not okay with it if it was in the hands of Trump. That's obvious.
Right.
Or probably any other Republican. All right. And then if we go to this is the reclaimthenet.org
Okay.
post.
Is that showing up?
Yep. So if we scroll down, I think it starts with Bash then asked. This is so Mayorkas is this response from Mayorkas is amazing. So Bash asked him, would you be okay if Donald Trump were president, if he created this disinformation governance board, or if it is in place and he wins again in 2024, that he's in charge of such a thing? To which he answered, I believe that this working group that gathers together best practices makes sure that our work is coordinated, consistent with those best practices, that we're safeguarding the right of free speech, that we're safeguarding civil liberties, I think is an extraordinary important endeavor, which, by the way, that should be an adverb. Extraordinarily important endeavor.
I'm really bothered by that. Maybe it was a typo, or did he actually say that?
I'm not sure, but what I did notice that too. But my problem with this is that, what did he say? Like, there's a lot of words there, but what did he say?
It's working together, best make sure. Nothing. I think he said nothing. He just threw a lot of words together.
This is a nothing burger of a response.
It's like the Kamala. I think that clip is still. Wait, let me see if I have it on here.
It is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day. Every day it is time for us to agree.
Yeah, you haven't seen that one before?
I don't think I have.
Oh,
I don't know.
great.
How is she a prosecutor?
I don't know.
She can't talk.
I guess if you say stuff like really aggressively or something, though, even if you're saying nothing, then like it's just the emotion that gets people really. I'm guessing. I don't know, but yeah, it was just the everyday thing. I thought was hilarious. Like, wow, you said a lot of words to not say anything at all, and that's how I feel this too. I'm like, you're just saying things. That doesn't make sense.
Like, he put in a lot of buzzwords that people care about. Safeguarding civil liberties.
It's safeguarding speech. Twice.
Yeah, safeguarding twice.
Best practices is twice.
Yeah. But it means nothing. It doesn't mean anything. And
because it's all vague. Yeah, like there's no actual detail. I'm like, well, what do you mean specifically?
Well, especially to the question, would you be okay if Donald Trump were president if he created this disinformation governance board? That's a yes or no question.
Right.
Same thing with the second question. Or if it is in place and he wins again in 2024, that he's in charge of such a thing. Again, yes or no?
Because you have to think about how, like, hey, what if this was in the hands of someone else that you don't like? But then they don't think about that, or they just know that, like, we'll never lose power. Like, we're going to guarantee that we will keep power forever now. So.
Well, yeah. Well, and here's the thing. I keep saying it, never, ever use a weapon or create a weapon that you would not be okay in the hands of your enemy. Like, and that's what censorship is. It's like, would you be okay with Republicans censoring you, Democrats? No? Then don't censor Republicans.
It's that, I don't know. I still wonder, like, if it's intentional or like a lack of self-awareness that they don't think like in a bigger picture where it's just like, here's the like tunnel vision where it's just like, here's the goal right now. But then even though it contradicts like there's stuff that they've said otherwise or later on, like if they just really truly don't, because they just aren't thinking about it, or if they're like, well, this is what I believe now, or
I think their thought process, and maybe it's not completely conscious thought process, but subconscious, is that their goals are moral and the other side's aren't. Their moral goal is worth breaking any rule, and the other side cannot break any rules because they are immoral.
That's the danger of like generalizations too, though, where you just think that like, oh, I'm always like my side is always the good side, your side is always the bad side, and then so then you never question anything on your side because it's like, well, your side is made up with a bunch of individuals with different, because again, humans aren't all the same and they think differently. So it's just like, even if you believe that like if you're a moral person and you think you're trying to do what's right, like not everyone is going to actually think the same way. So
well, and I think it's important for them to remember that power corrupts.
yeah.
I mean, that's an old saying at this point, and it's an absolute power corrupts absolutely. That's the rest of the saying. And the more power that they give themselves, the more they corrupt themselves. Giving yourself this kind of power is poison. And I don't think they realize how poisonous it is to themselves, because it's like you're going to lose sight even of the things you say you believe in. That's the problem with corruption and power, is that you eventually you're like, well, I did such a good job like safeguarding and and protecting
and doing best practices.
Yes, that I deserve some kind of reward for doing that, like more chocolate during the chocolate rations. Like that's the kind of crap that happens when you allow yourself more and more power. And it's a dangerous thing, and I really, really wish they would like get it through their heads. And I've seen some people make decisions like some people come out of this shit, like so recently today even I saw someone say, I was voting Democrat for years, and then now I broke away from them, but I'm still having a hard time remembering that the Republicans are not immoral monsters, because there's been a lot of propaganda over the last several decades painting one side as being immoral, and it's really hard for people to undo all that.
Yeah, when you dehumanize people, when you and it can happen so easily, and it's been happening for years, but it doesn't even need to take that long. So then like when it's just kind of like ingrained in your brain, it's really anything though too, like once you learn something, it's hard to unlearn it. So if it's kind of muscle memory for that, kind of like, oh yeah, Republicans equals bad, yeah, like it's really hard to step out of that.
I've seen a lot. It's kind of funny too, because I've seen so many people like still saying blue no matter who, and I'm like,
oh yeah,
and I know that's like the culmination of this propaganda that the right is evil, is that you're saying that the reincarnation of like Hitler or Pol Pot could be on your side and you'd still vote for them. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, I believe it though. I mean, not to that extent, but like Biden, people didn't like Biden, so they're all just like, yeah, but I have to, like, I need to. So it just doesn't matter that I bet they would. I bet a lot of them. I think you have some of like the classic Democrats who are just like, no, I was like the working class type of person, and then who slowly saw that like this isn't the party that I used to believe it was, whether it was or not back in the day. At least like it's a lot more apparent now. So then they're the ones who will be like, oh, I don't want to be part of this. But the other ones, you have the diehards who just don't care about, like, I guess the less thinking people. It's just it's just you've got the black and white, like, and that's the only way that they can see it. I also like Papana in chat says power does corrupt most likely.
So the thing is though, about 20 states are talking about taking legal action against this board because it's unconstitutional.
Yeah.
So that's a good sign. Like, honestly, when states start working together to fight the federal government, I think they have a much better chance of getting the federal government to reverse on something than if like one state did it, or just one person, or even just one organization. Those states, that's a lot of people banding together, like a lot of representatives saying no. And I think that has more clout than maybe just a lot of other situations.
But it also is just so, just the concept itself is sad that it requires like the states need to band together against the federal government that's supposed to be there to help, just to represent the states, and really to try and figure out like, oh, if the states who are supposed to have power over themselves, but it's just like, if you have problems between states, we're here to help you guys out and solve those problems, but instead we're here to harass and like control everything about you, and you need to fight against us, which is just like the opposite of what they were intended to be.
Well, no, they're supposed to be helping like with foreign trade and currency. And
if we're United States.
That's why, and I think I remember in high school when I first realized that the United States was not a single nation. Like really, like in my head, I was like, well, what do you, because like someone explained the definition of the word state, the old definition, not the American definition. And I was like, so what do you call a bunch of states that unite together under one banner and decide that they're going to stick together forever? And I was like, is that the United States? Like, came to this conclusion. Oh, so we're not actually like a united country. And I mean, it's silly. I mean, to be fair, I was a teenager at the time, but the fact is that a lot of people don't even come to that conclusion at any point.
Yeah, I mean, like I think it took longer to really. I'd always seen it as just a singular entity until even more recent. Yeah, like I knew like the basic ideas that they're supposed, but it was just, I don't know. Like I feel like in more recent years, it became more apparent of how like no, they weren't supposed to be like, it wasn't supposed to be this big of a government controlling everything. Like they were supposed to have a little more autonomy state-wise. And it was just not the direction that things have gone. And and I think I could have learned a lot more in high school, and I don't think I did.
I think I did take it. I mean, I took one government course in high school, and that's when I figured it out. The teacher didn't walk me to that conclusion. I was just sitting there after hearing the definition of state and that's what the journey my brain went on. And I decided, okay.
No, I didn't have, okay. I mean, like I hated history. History was my worst subject. It was always like memorizing dates for like wars and things though. And I just like could not. So then we had a government class only for half the year in senior year. And it was the same teacher I had in 9th grade, and I had hated him then. So it was kind of a difficult, so if I hate the teacher, I'm not going to learn anyway. So.
That's relatively fair. Well, let's ask chat. Do you guys think that the states banding together have a chance of dissolving this disinformation board?
Yeah. And you said it's 20 states?
20. It's 20 states talking about doing it. I hope they move forward.
Yeah. What is that? 40%? I don't know how to math. I double it because we have 50 states times 2 is 100. So then 20 times 2 is 40. So it should be 40% of the states, right?
You're right. It's 40%.
Got it. But I think that's a good amount. I mean, like, and maybe other states might, like, if they get some traction, then maybe the other states will join in too if they also. Do you know which states, some of them offhand?
No, I don't know. But if I had to guess about some of them, I would say that Texas and Florida are among them. Maybe New Hampshire. That would be my guess.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
I think that's important. Was it Papana? The role of teachers is significant. I agree. I was a teacher. For college students, but it was like and then I spent way too long in college myself, but and so I'm a
professional student.
Yeah, I went for my undergrad for 6 years, and then I did grad school for 2 years, so I was in there for a while. Like I could have been a doctor if I really wanted.
Yeah, right.
But I didn't want to be a doctor, so.
What made you not want to be a doctor? As far as like you don't want to touch people's bodily parts?
Well, I'm sickly myself already.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I was never interested. Like, okay, that's not fair. I am interested in medical and psychological science.
Yes.
I do find those very, very interesting. I find most subjects interesting in some regard, but there's no, and there are a lot of writer doctors throughout history too. William Carlos Williams is a big one. But the thing is, though, is that I was just never, I never wanted to do it as a job. Like, I always wanted to be a writer. It was never anything else for me. It was funny, too, because there are times where someone asked me, what's your dream job? And I sit there and I'm like, and I'm like, what? Alex, you know the answer to this. It's always been writer.
A friend just texted me and asked me the same thing. And I was like, I still don't know. Or even stuff as a child. And I've had like a bunch of different ones. So I like when someone has like, here's the one thing that like I've always wanted and going for that. Cause I don't know. I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up.
I think it wasn't until I was 16 though, that I really decided I wanted to be a writer, because up from like, I want to say like 7 to 16, I wanted to be a marine biologist, and I was serious. I had my room was filled with marine biology books. It was not just like posters of dolphins on my wall. I don't even think I had a poster of a dolphin on my wall ever, but I had books. No. Yeah, they are actually terrifying. They will rape.
They could be raped. Yeah. It's the thing that you were saying earlier, where like you look all like sweet and innocent and stuff too, but actually underneath,
terrifying. Yeah. But yeah, I know a lot of people said a lot of women say they wanted to be a marine biologist, but I actually read like marine biology books as a hobby, like a lot. So when I was
a stereotype, I guess I didn't realize that was one.
Apparently it is. But then like it was funny though, because in grad school I read Moby Dick, and there's the Satology chapter, which is filled with old, bad marine biology information, stuff people actually believed. And it is hilarious to anyone who knows anything about marine biology. It's like the idea that that whales are fish. That was like one of the big ones.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Literally, Satology is the study of whales, by the way. So it was just kind of hilarious to me, to like remember all the facts I already knew about marine biology in grad school, reading Moby Dick. Which, by the way, I do actually suggest that book.
Reading Moby Dick. I do not suggest reading Old Man in the Sea. I had to read that in high school, and I hated it. So I'm just talking about marine biology stuff that, it's about a whale. Yeah. But
that's Hemingway, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I should probably appreciate it for like, the writing about how it just sucked. It sucked. Okay. And then we had to do like an audio CD of, or we had to like do like an audio recording as a group project. So we had to like choose one of the books that we read. And then I don't remember if we were given that one or if we chose it because we hated it so much. But my friends and I did The Elderly Man in the Ocean as a parody of it. And so then I played the elderly man, and I had to do like an old voice. Oh, Madeline, come rub my hand for me. So because he kept having his little, the kid rub his hand a lot.
Oh and my God. That's
and I remember it's like 15 years later. I'm still salty about this.
Oh gosh. Well, let's move on to what's going on in private censorship, because we already talked about government censorship, but there is stuff going on the private side that is not fun, especially considering the fact that Elon Musk bought Twitter. And like I said today, he said that he didn't want to permaban anyone. But the 2000 Mules Twitter account got suspended like within the same day of being created.
Oh, yeah. I do remember hearing that. Wait, I thought I had this link. This is a link, right?
No, there's no link for that one. There is a poll question, though. Have you seen the documentary?
I personally have not.
I have not watched it yet either. I'm going to, but the point is that their Twitter account was suspended almost immediately.
Yeah. Immediately.
Yeah. Like, it's like there was someone behind the wings at Twitter, like, waiting for Dinesh D'Souza to like come out with his 2000 Mules account. and just immediately it pounced on it.
Mhm.
And it's like, wow, that's really messed up.
Can you go over what the 2000 Mules is about?
Yeah, so briefly, to anyone who's not heard about 2000 Mules, which some people didn't hear about it, they just heard about what this 2000 Mules account got.
Yeah,
I mean,
that was
that's
pretty
how
much
I first.
yeah.
That was my experience too. I was like, what the hell is this then? Why is everyone talking about it? And what it is that it's a documentary by Dinesh D'Souza. It's come out on Rumble. It's the first movie to come out on Rumble. And what it is that it's mostly footage of ballot harvesters, or really more mules, turning in ballots at ballot boxes. So there's video of them like dropping like more than one, and sometimes more than like a few ballots into ballot boxes.
Real quick, I just want to say that, like, I bet people are going to be confused by the term mule, just like they were confused by the term coyote as far as humans smuggling people from Mexico to the U.S. Because just remember when they were talking, like, why is Trump saying coyote? Like, as if an animal can carry a baby.
God, that was so funny to me because I'm from the Southwest. I've lived in Arizona almost my entire life. I grew up here. I knew forever that coyote meant.
If you watch like any sort of crime show, like detective, like they always have, like, any show at all, they will have an episode about it.
About coyotes.
Yeah. We'll mention that term. That's why I was so confused. I'm like, how have so many people not heard this term before?
Yeah, and then mules is obviously a reference to drug mules. The idea that it's someone carrying, because mules were used as pack animals, not as animals that you rode necessarily. They would carry supplies. Human beings rode horses. Supplies were on mules and donkeys. So, and then mules became slang for human beings carrying drugs across borders and through planes and stuff like that. So when it comes to mules in this regard, they're talking about illegal ballots being carried by human beings to ballot boxes. That's essentially what the phrase is talking about. And the documentary is talking about 2,000 of them in 5 states. And I think we're both in one of those states.
I am so not surprised to hear that about Pennsylvania, though. Like, I mean, we've got Philadelphia and Pittsburgh and stuff, so it's just, that was already iffy. But like, yeah, I was kind of surprised by the direction it went for this past election.
I was rather surprised at how Arizona turned out, because, like I said, I've lived here almost, like, there was only an 8-year period that I didn't live here, and it was always red. And at the same time, though, my entire life, more and more people have been moving from California to Arizona.
Yeah,
and
I'm
then
not surprised by that either.
And before that, a ton of people were moving from Illinois to Arizona. So like everyone I know, like it's not, most people in Arizona are not from Arizona. I'm like one of the few people I know who is actually from Arizona. Yeah, most people move here from California now, and previously from Illinois. So there were a lot of people coming from blue states to Arizona.
Why Illinois? And I know Illinois isn't even, Chicago is blue. Like, I live there and it's definitely blue. But outside of it, like in the rural areas, like I know that they're a little more red in different parts, though. But like Chicago makes it go blue.
Well, and then some of the time, so Chicago has a pretty big Italian population, and a lot of Italians, they don't actually like snow and crap like that, because Italy is not actually all that snowy.
Yeah.
And there is something to be said about generations later still liking the same kind of weather. Like, it's somewhat genetic, actually, because like I've known people who were like, whose family were from Scotland, and they go to Scotland and they're like, oh my God, this place is glorious. Like talking about the weather. So it's like,
I don't think I'd be that way.
Really?
The Philippines, well, at least half of me, like Philippines is like very hot, and I haven't been there, but I would die. I
That's
think
funny.
my dad is, I think, like in the Scottish, German, something like that, something like that. So I might be okay over there.
The weird thing is to me though is that like so WEF says billionaires are working hard on the depopulation agenda, and there is some regard to people literally working to move people into areas so that they change the political movement there. Now, for example, someone thought that bringing in more people from Latin America would turn more of the U.S. blue, but the more that they come, the more it's obvious that they don't necessarily all vote blue, that a lot of them are actually incredibly conservative. And it's like, I don't know how you couldn't have predicted that. I mean, a lot of them are Catholic. But so, and they were, that was like, oh, a mistake that they made. Some of them still make that mistake. They still believe Hispanics are going to vote blue every time. And I don't believe that's true. For like, first of all, that is incredibly racist to me, because Latin America is huge and has tons of different cultures. And then the idea that even within those cultures, everyone would be the same is stupid. It's a stupid thought to have in the first place. Like, no, they're kind of, it's going to be a mix. It's always going to be a mix. Like, I don't know why you would think it wouldn't be.
Yeah.
But then, and then, yeah, as some awesome one says, Latinx. The idea that like you're turning them off with those kinds of terms, by the way.
But
they don't
making
like that.
others laugh obnoxiously at the
Yeah,
tinks.
I know. I actually quit watching a show that I was quite enjoying, because as soon as the word Latinx popped up, I was like, all right, bye. I like lost all interest.
What show is it?
It was The Good Doctor.
Oh, really? I haven't checked it out, but
the first 3 seasons are awesome. I love it. And then, well, I mean, see, like, it's stupid popcorn crap. Like, honestly, which is why I like medical dramas in the first place, is because I want to turn off my brain. I'm gonna watch this medical drama, and it was great for that for 3 seasons, and then 4th season, it's all about the coof. For the first few episodes.
They actually get an I don't like any of the shows that like acknowledge that it existed, and they all did it too. And I was just like, no, just pretend like it never happened. Like, I don't need this to emulate, like to look like the real world at all. Like, and they even did like some time skips or whatever, and just like, oh, everyone has their vaccines, we're good, and the masks are gone or whatever. It's like, no, just don't even say that it happened at all. Like, you don't need to.
I know, that's why like fantasy and sci-fi is probably going to mostly avoid it, but when it comes to the stuff that's more based in like the contemporary time and place, we're going to see them reference it. And I don't want them to either. Like, I don't watch a medical drama to get important topics, like, and like really, connect with current events. Obviously, I'm not watching the news.
Right. Yeah.
So to me, that's one of the problems. And I was like, okay, they kind of left it alone afterwards. I'm kind of okay with that. I don't like the fact that they derailed what was going on emotionally on the show.
It really takes up a lot of emotional space for it.
Well, because someone had just died at the end of this, and it was like huge.
And now they're saying that now everyone will die, so we need
and then like tons of, and then like no one reacts to it in the next episode, because you come back to the next season and like, oh no, they're on to the coof, and I'm like, no, I wanted to see how everyone reacted to this huge loss, and I saw none of it. I feel cheated.
That's really upsetting.
That's why I was upset about that. But then these are lost years, honestly. I feel it kind of reminds me of how Hemingway described the actual lost generation after World War I, the way that they felt like they were displaced. And this time feels displaced. And I feel like a lot of us had our lives incredibly disrupted in a way it didn't need to happen.
Yeah, oh, for sure, definitely, 100%. And then even with looking back in like with TV, with just like the fictional world of stuff, I'm thinking about like, oh, what about people who watch this show 20 years from now, and then they see like, especially the ones that are like, oh, here's just this little episode or like a part of an episode where they like acknowledge that it happened and moved on, and they'll just be like, why? What did that mean? Like, what if this is like just some sort of bad memory in the future? And they're just like, what was the mask thing about? Like, what? And they'll just be like this weird 5-minute piece of it that was just jarring to them.
Well, I moved on to The Resident, and I've not hit the part where in production the coup happens yet.
Okay.
And that show its themes are based on problems within hospitals and the medical industry, which
maybe they won't touch. Yeah, no
and
one
I'm
wants
like,
to
if you
acknowledge.
don't touch on the problems, you screwed the pooch, because you literally only talk about the problems. That is the point of that show.
Huh.
But it'll be weird, but I don't know.
Can I, real quick, while we're on TV topics, I'm still watching all 8 seasons of Castle. But one of the latest episodes I saw was about a guy who ended up, they didn't find out till later, but he was infected with the H5N1 virus, like a bad strain of it. And the person like who, he didn't realize it, but he was being used to try and like infect others to try and spread this around. And so the woman who worked at like the whatever, the hospital or something that could use it to her advantage. They're like, huh. And this was like 2014. So weird.
Oh, wow.
I'm glad it was only fictional, though, that nothing like that would ever happen.
Nothing like the germ theory practices that were going on, what were they, germ war games, essentially, from our U.S. government.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But well, we got off topic, but I'm usually okay with that. But so this, I do want to talk about the next. So we're still on the 2000 Mules. Sorry, we walked off for a moment there. But Rumble announced, this is the next link, that they had almost exclusive rights to 2000 Mules. Not quite, but close. And as the premiere was approaching, they announced this. Within the last 24 hours, Rumble has been under an unprecedented attack. Our engineers are working around the clock to mitigate these attacks and prepare for a smooth rollout of our first movie launch, 2000 Mules, tomorrow. As this situation evolves, we will update here. So, Rumble was under attack, a cyber attack, in most likely to prevent them from being able to show 2000 Mules, like, because the attack didn't start until after it was announced that the movie was going to be coming out, and from what I've heard, that they haven't had many more attacks since then. So it suggests that it was around trying to censor people's access to 2000 Mules. When it comes to cyber attacks like this, like it's usually activist related, and so I wouldn't be surprised if someone thought that people don't need to see this video. I'm gonna do,
that they know what other humans need, what their necessity is in life, and they don't need to see it. They just know what's best for us.
Yes, definitely, because they're so smart and so moral. So I mean, but okay, chat, do you guys consider a cyber attack like this to be censorship? I just said that I do. But what do you believe? Do you believe it's a form of censorship?
And I see too, someone says Tim Pool was forced off his website to silence him. I didn't know that
I've not heard that.
I know he gets swatted like all the time lately, but
I know.
But I didn't hear about his website being taken down. Did you also notice that we have the WEF in our chat?
Yes, I did.
Ask them any questions.
No, but I will tell the WEF this. I am not eating the bugs. I am going to keep eating steak. The more often you tell me not to eat beef, the more often I will eat it.
Don't
and I'm not living in a goddamn pod.
Oh. No, and I'm trying to raise our own meat birds here too. So we'll see how that goes. Chickens.
Yeah. I wish I could do that.
Had to
I
move to
need,
Rumble servers. Huh?
yeah, he had to move apparently. Yeah, I did not know that. I've heard it's kind of funny because you mentioned he got swatted. I've heard several times him say that people need to not use anonymity to protect
Oh
themselves.
yeah,
They
yeah,
need to, and I'm like, dude,
yeah.
you've been swatted so many
Yeah.
times. Are you
And he
starting to
just has
get it
no, yeah, that like
yet?
some people have reason for that. And I mean he even specifically was trying to avoid his address and stuff getting out. And like that's what people like. I don't judge that people want to try and say things like more anonymously for protection reasons. So because there are crazy people out there. And people in chat are saying yes to your question.
Yeah, I see Romaro Grey Wolf says yes.
Yeah, we had Steph Cuervo Queen. Oh, hi. I saw her
I see Steph
yesterday.
said absolutely. Awesome One said yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Space Windu says depends who sanctioned it.
I don't see it's the thing. I think anyone can force anyone to be silent, and I think that's censorship. I don't think it has to be like an organization or someone like I don't know. If you're trying to stop other people from seeing something, I think you're censoring. That's my thought anyway. That's my argument. I don't know. What do you think, Beverly?
Well, and I know like you're like a anti-censorship absolutist, right? That pretty much and I'm not, and I've since you've started the show, I've been thinking about that too. I'm like, I don't know where I stand like on certain things, like especially if with the Unsafe Space chat, like we've had a policy sort of like, you know, we let most things go. The only thing, and for me, I think I've been more loose on it than sometimes than like what the others might want to hide or something, because it's like, okay, I get rid of spam and then I get rid of what else? Like physical threats. Like if someone was like actually trying to threaten. Other than that, then I'm like, well, I kind of want to leave it open enough though. But I also understand the aspect like, well, if people are saying things that aren't helpful, like that aren't part of the community or something that like aren't good faith speaking, then it's like, do you let those slide or do you try and take, you know, like try and get them out of your community? Like if they're not, and not even saying just in chat, but just general, like if you have a community and you have like people who are bad faith speaking, should you let them keep speaking or do you try and remove them from your community? And I kind of go back and forth on that. So I don't know what's your thoughts on that specifically?
Well, I've had trolls in my chat before, and I don't respond to them in the same way that a lot of other people do. I don't mute them. I don't make fun of them. I don't pile on them when people start talking to them. I say, hey, don't. I mean, if they're acting like this, then just don't engage. Like it's not. That's what they're looking for. And then like I will engage with them, but my method of engaging with them is like, hey, are you like tired? Do you need a nap? Like maybe I'm not being mean. I'm not being sarcastic either. I'm honestly asking, are you having a bad day? Like why are you acting like this? Like if I'm not busy, like I'm playing a video game, I can't always completely engage with that. But like yeah, and I've had people, trolls, turn over to not being assholes and stick around in on my videos because of that. And because I'm like, I'm not treating them like they're a monster, and I'm not treating them like I'm not giving them the negative reaction they are expecting either. In any way. So like, and I don't want people in chat to give them that reaction either, because that's actually what they're looking for, honestly. So I'm like, they're looking for someone to help them beat themselves up sometimes. So
oh yeah, you know, I guess I haven't thought too much about the psychology of trolls, but outside of like just a surface level of things. But yeah, it's like, what are they doing it for? Because they want the harassment back at them, because they either want to get angry or they hate themselves that they believe that they deserve it or something.
Well, there's some spoiling for a fight there. Don't give them a fight. Give them something totally different. If you're going to give them anything at all, like, don't give them a fight. Like, you know, just ask them, like, how are you doing? Are you okay? Like, what's going on? You know, and they act completely different after that. I've never seen them really get mad at me afterwards. Some of them just disappear after that because I didn't give them what they wanted them to. But I'm like, that is kind of how I react to trolls. Now, someone in chat had said that they believe that someone copy pasting stuff over and over and over again is trying to censor in a way. And I could see that. I mean,
that the person doing that is censoring.
Yeah, that they're like, because they're trying to like essentially deboost other options of conversation.
Yeah. See, I consider that spamming though. Like if you're, I'm okay if you're like doing it legit, because there have been some people like, oh, they're really just trying to get the host's attention, and so they're saying, and it looks. But so I take the intent of the person into account too. That's like, oh, they're not trying to do it to annoy chat. They're doing it because they just want to be seen. So I don't think that that's necessarily bad. It could be annoying, but I'm like, but you're not doing it to be bad. But then those who are like, if you're spamming them, like, well, I'm just not gonna, like, you are disrupting and that the chat can't flow well, and so I'm willing to say like, hey, like, and usually I prefer giving a warning and saying like, hey, like, please stop. I guess if they don't realize that they're doing it for whatever reason or it's an accident or something, and I'm just like, hey, this is happening, like, don't do that, and or else you will be removed. So I'm more comfortable with that.
Yeah. It was funny. Awesome One says, I'm more a mindset of I like to pick on someone because I like them. I'm like that too.
Oh yeah, honestly. Yeah. Oh, for sure. I've always been that way. You have a crush on someone though, like, yeah, I'm gonna nag you.
Like if I pick on someone and if I make fun of them and stuff, I'm probably, well, see, that's the thing is that like if you're a gamer like me, like half the time the shit talk is more friendly than it seems.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's how I feel that way. Like whenever, if I'm close, the closer I can be to some people like that, like, you know, friends, like, we'll pick on each other more. And not that, like, there's some people that like, oh, our relationship just is, we don't have that same dynamic. So like, so we're friendly, but it's not necessarily like bad. But there're just certain people, it's like, usually if you're mocking each other, it's like, yeah, you've got like this dynamic going, but like, that's just your relationship though. And I think those are fun too. So I have, different friend groups and stuff that we do that with. Definitely. My boyfriend and I do that all the time. We're terrible to each other.
I did hear, I had a grammar teacher in college that said that the less formal you are with someone, the less polite you are with someone, the closer you are to them. Like if you're willing to say fuck off to someone, like, and with a smile, you're probably friends.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. And just generally, I hate being formal too. So that's, everyone's my friend. I'm formal to them all.
Let's talk about the final two instances of censorship that were pretty big. These are oh, John says he'd never mock you, Beverly.
Oh yeah, never. And he would never do a stream earlier today about how much he respects women.
I did see that. I didn't get to join. I was working. But okay. The final two things of censorship that happened recently that were pretty big to me anyway were both proof related. The first is from James Lindsay. But it's actually myth-informed MKE is who sent the tweet.
Okay, wait, hang on. Is this it? Load. Okay, is this it?
John. Yes. So myth-informed MKE said that James Lindsay has been locked out of his Twitter account for up to a week for sharing an inconvenient truth.
Yeah. Okay. I heard that he got suspended.
He said that the lawn proof was actually a way of covering up coof jab problems. So like that, I mean, I think it's it's the second photo. You can see it. I don't know.
Oh, it does say it on here. Okay.
Yeah. There it is.
Name for long. Oh, okay. The scientific name for long COVID is vaccine injury. Quote unquote. YouTube.
Yes.
So we're just quoting.
Yeah, we're quoting someone who was wrong, by the way.
Yeah, totally. We're just talking about how wrong he was and how Twitter was so right to suspend him.
Very, very wrong. He was so wrong. They should have suspended him. So he got suspended. He's back into his account though. So he got back into it relatively fast. Now, not long after this happened, myth-informed MKE also got banned from Twitter.
Is this the Brett Weinstein one?
Yes, it is. And now this one blows my mind because all I can think is, no, he's right. This has been true for decades, okay? Because this drug that he is talking about, he's not referring to any specific illness, by the way.
Yeah.
Is this drug saves lives.
And maybe he'd even say human lives.
No, he didn't.
Maybe talking about horses.
He could be. He could be talking about horses. But it has saved lives across the world and will continue to do so for water parasites. Like that's mainly what it's used for human beings. So it's like, that's true. It has saved their lives. It continues to save their lives. So it's ridiculous to say that this has anything to do with the coof. And it's amazing that he got banned for this.
Right.
And go ahead.
I was going to say that, and Motown mentions too that I like how Elon Musk was tagged, like, hey, what did this happen?
Yeah, I know. Everyone's like, Elon, starts.
Yeah.
I mean, he gets tagged like thousands of times every freaking hour because
sure.
people are like, I got banned. My friend got banned. Someone got suspended. Like constantly, I'm sure at this point. It's like, dude, he's not CEO yet. Okay.
Yeah.
He can't change anything yet. But soon, hopefully soon. As soon as he's instated as like CEO or something, he's gonna have like so many friggin' things on his plate of people going, unban me, please unban me. Like it's gonna be hilarious. But
I can't wait.
I know everyone's going to him. Not tag his mother. Maybe he'll do it because if you tag his mother, because the only reason he went to the Met Gala, is because she wanted to go.
Really?
Oh, yeah, I
cute.
know. It was funny, and like
boy.
There was some rumor going around that he wanted to go with this model, but she didn't respond. And then his mom was like, "This is a lie." And Elon Musk was like, I never asked her. None of my people asked her. Like this started from a satire site and they just ran with it like it was news. And it's like, they do that a lot, by the way. They misread satire.
Even the news does that.
I know. It's
the news just runs with like, here's this fake thing, and then they don't even care.
Yeah, I mean, did you see where he said something about if I die under mysterious circumstances, it's been nice knowing you all, and then his mom retweeted it and said that this is not funny.
I did not see that.
It was pretty funny, but yeah, like
I didn't know he had a mom. Honestly,
of course he has a mom, but yeah. So these are the things that are going on, and like yeah, I say as soon as Elon Musk, the CEO, which by the way, he's very pro free speech. He said it several times. He says he doesn't want to permanently ban anyone. He says that he doesn't, that he wants to he wants to up, and I agree with him on this, the software development side. Because to me, this is my thought when it comes to social media. If you're spending more of your collateral, more of your company's investment on moderators than you are on software developers and engineers, you are failing.
You're doing something wrong.
Yeah, because it's like you shouldn't have like hardly any moderators, but you should have a lot of engineers working on improving the platform. That would be my thought. and that's what he wants to do. So I'm glad about that, and I think he'd be open to people telling him what they think Twitter needs. I mean,
Yeah, just get a suggestion box. He doesn't have to do it all, but
no. Well, for one thing, he polled people before he tried to buy it, asking them like, "Do you think that Twitter, believes in free speech?" He asked these questions, so it's like,
I just thought it was funny. Elon's mom
funny.
is just like all our moms on Facebook in 2005.
Yeah, telling us when we're being out of line and saucy. Yeah, that sounds about right. But yeah, I definitely think he'd be open to people telling him things that they think Twitter could use, especially like from a social perspective. And by that I mean like what's going on in regards to what it moderates. Now, a lot of people have talked about the privacy concerns because he wants to verify all humans. And one, I think it was Mike Huckabee, said that he wanted everyone to have their real name on there in an actual photo. And Elon Musk has addressed this, by the way, and he said he does not want to do that.
Good.
He believes, like I mentioned before, that anonymity is important to free speech. Jonathan Swift would not have been able to make the changes, and get the people on the side of the Irish people in England if he wasn't anonymous. I cannot say that word, by the way.
Anonymity.
Hurt yourself, kid. Yeah, exactly. But like, so he understands that. See, the idea that we have to all verify ourselves on Twitter is a problem because, first of all, it's a global social platform. So say that you're gay in Palestine, that's not gonna work out for you.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, then who knows what happened with that? And just that there's the internet, you can be anonymous like in so many other places, so you're going to require that, like that's going to turn off people because they're like, well, I want to be anonymous. And sure, you can argue that anonymity makes allows like people like, oh, you're going to be an asshole when you're doing stuff like, okay, like, but people will find a way to do that anyway. Like I think it helped, like it can exacerbate it, like it gives you more incentive sometimes, but you don't need to moral police and thought police the people online. Like you just like, if I'm upset with it, then I block them, or I don't use this app or something. That like I don't need Twitter to protect me from these people.
I've also seen a lot of named photographed journalists and politicians say some pretty mean and awful things on Twitter before. So I don't think it prevents people from being an asshole.
Yeah, it won't stop. It might stop some people who want to just do it from the comfort of their own mother's basement or something. But like, but you're gonna have the other people like who are gonna continue doing probably worse things too. Like the guy in the basement is probably just gonna like be trolling and doing something. But you've got like politicians and journalists who will like proudly say the worst things and put their name attached to it.
I know, like there are tons of people on there with their names attached to really horrible statements. So I don't see that as being a problem. I know, like I've seen way too many people say that that being anonymous is bad for discourse, and I just disagree. I 100% disagree. It's historically it protects people. It is people are more willing to say things, and I don't consider it cowardice. Because it's like it would be cowardice to not say it at all. That's cowardice.
And it's also like I can still humanize, like just because I don't know someone's real name or something, that like if I still talk, like in Discord, there are a lot of people in our Discord server where I'm like, I don't even know what your real name is, like, but like I know, but we've talked a lot, so like I know some stuff about you, but like I don't know necessarily where you live or your name and things, but I can still say that like, hey, we've got a rapport of some sort though, and I can. It doesn't say that like it's. I don't know. It's not like anonymous. It's in a different way, I guess.
Yeah, it is. Well, and then like there's accounts out there that people start in the hope of an organization. This is another problem, is that what a lot of people don't realize about social media is that there's enough organizations and businesses that form accounts, and some of them are self-starters, so they're not necessarily like an LLC yet. And it's like, how do they verify that they're human? How do they like, they're not anonymous? Like, in a way they are, in a way they're not. Like, it's just, there are people behind it, but they're representing something, you know? So to me, I'm like, we tend to forget about the fact that social media is not just used by the individual user. It's used by groups of people as a team.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, we have an Unsafe Space account. So.
Exactly. And it's supposed to represent like an idea or a brand or a company or
a cat.
Or a cat. Like, I actually, speaking of anonymous accounts, the Ministry of Truth's account is amazing.
Is it?
It's so funny. I love it.
I need to follow
very sarcastic account. Worth watching what they do, because they're pretty funny. And then what about Titania McGrath? That was a great account. I mean, it's still around, but he's been outed. And there's tons of accounts like that are like a fake woke person, and those are fun and also hard to recognize sometimes, because it's like, is this satire or is it real? It's so close to the crazy I've seen from real people that I'm not sure. All right, but I mean, Twitter can be a fun place, and I think it would stay fun if we had anonymous accounts.
I like the sarcasm. I like the silly, the fun accounts and stuff too. That the parody accounts, even if some people call them stalker accounts or whatever, but like the parody accounts. And by the way, just I keep seeing in chat too. Motown says my real name is Motown City Village. Cronin says my real name is Agent 704. That's all you need to know. Awesome One says my name is Name.
My name is Name.
I like all these.
That's super chat.
Oh wait, let me see. Oh, Judge Law. Hi, Judge Law. Thank you. You want to read it, Alex?
Yeah, I'm really enjoying this Carter-free stream. A+ ladies. Well, you can thank Carter for recruiting me.
Yeah. I mean, hey, in my defense. I recruited you. Yeah. I was
he
the one.
came to me, but you're the one who put the bug in his ear.
I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
We were kind of saying that earlier too in book club, because when we were trying, I was like, we're trying to find someone who could do like pop culture stuff initially, and we're trying to think of that. And my thought was like, oh, Alex like is smart, like she says a lot of stuff in book club, and I think she said that she's done video game, like she does video game streaming. So.
Yeah, Alex has done video games. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm actually streaming in half an hour. Which is why I'm about to wrap things up.
And then go follow Alex over.
Yeah, go see me. I was groomed.
Really. I'm grooming because I care. I didn't have to groom her.
I will follow up, guys, because it was asked by Motown, or Mo45673, to see some screenshots of the Ministry of Truth, and I will pick my favorites, and I will share them with you guys.
Yeah, is this the right one? I'll share it real quick if that's okay, just so they can see. Yeah, if let me see, just so people can see the name. Is this the right one?
Yes.
Okay.
This is it.
So you've got at US Mini True.
Yeah.
I only look so far though. The one I saw was don't waste time reading to your children. We'd be happy to do it for you.
I'm not seeing that one yet. I love their replies to popular tweets are pretty good, by the way.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So they're definitely worth a follow. They're pretty entertaining. I dressed like a zebra.
Alex is dressed like a zebra, and it is triggering genetic memory from Beverly of hunting zebra in the savannah. Oh, is that what my problem is? I was wondering. I was feeling really like confused and like hungry, but I couldn't figure out why. And so it's because of my days hunting zebra on the savannah. That's right. I forgot. Thank you, Cabernet.
I love Awesome One says Warlocks for the win, and that is a Destiny 2 reference.
Oh, okay.
I am a Warlock main, and we did win Guardian games. I think we placed gold for this last time. So.
Oh, I watched some of the yesterday was Destiny 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
Last night. Okay. What are you streaming tonight?
Yeah, tonight is Grim Dawn.
Okay.
I love those kinds of games. But they're so complicated, and it's actually Grim Dawn nights are the nights that I talk a lot about pop culture, like randomly, because it's that kind of game is not like as intense as something like Destiny 2. It's not a first-person shooter. But okay, so let's wrap up. I think you guys should write your states to tell state reps and stuff to tell them that you want them to be part of any legal action against the disinformation board. I definitely think you should do that. And I think when Elon Musk becomes CEO or gains actual ownership of Twitter, you don't at Elon maybe, but at Twitter.
At Elon's mom, like Alex.
And at Elon's mom, she'll get him to do it. And then go ahead.
Oh no, mine was going to be you finish your serious stuff first.
Okay, I'll finish the serious stuff. So other than that, I think you guys need to like, share, subscribe, watch your fingers over to those buttons, hit the reminder bell, but just remember that the bell isn't always the best.
You will never be reminded about anything.
Yeah, notifying you.
I never get told. I never am told when anyone streams anything.
I know. That's why I'm a big promoter of like put your schedule out there so that people know.
We're trying to listen to you. We're trying to do this. We're doing that. And then also for the upcoming shows, I think we should still be having a live Rebel Civics tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern, a live Dangerous Thoughts at 8 p.m. Eastern, and Token Minority Report is moving from Fridays to Thursday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern. I think that's all the other shows this week. I'm busy.
I think that's everything for the week. Yeah, we're talking about something extra.
Oh yes. Oh right. Yeah. Well, I guess we can kind of say too. We might have a Friday thing on Friday the 13th. So keep an eye out for that.
Yes.
And before we wrap up, though, I know you need to leave for your other stream here soon. But back to the marine biology. Can you give us any sort of fact? The only thing I can remember that I remember learning a long time ago is like seahorses, and we were just talking about this the other day. The males end up taking in the babies, right? Because like the female will make them, but then it goes into the male, and then the males end up birthing them out.
He's got a pouch. Correctly. He's got a pouch to incubate the eggs, and then when they hatch, he spits them out from the pouch.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then so I'll give you a couple of funny marine biology things. Some sharks have two penises. Because they fight.
So that they might lose one? Is that like so you have an extra? Okay, I didn't know if they needed both at the same time.
No, they don't need them both.
Okay.
Some sharks sleep.
Do they? Ooh,
yes.
I'd never heard about. I just heard that they never sleep.
Which means that their gills actually pump.
Oh, okay.
Which is unusual for a fish, by the way. And then the Amazon has dolphins, and they're pink.
I did know that. Yes, I did know about that one. Okay. So tell me something else I don't know.
Yeah, okay. I'm trying to think of something else I don't know that you wouldn't know. I'm like pulling out all my freaking information.
The term sea jelly is
okay. Cuttlefish have W-shaped eyes. Their pupils are a W.
In a cartoony way? Oh, that's adorable.
Yeah, I don't know if they're cartoony.
I see how and they sort of like anime thing. They'll have like the W.
The anime,
with mouths or eyes and stuff. And because everything relates back to Nathan Fillion's Castle TV show. They just had an episode about cuttlefish being used as like a cloaking device thing with this new like technology. It's getting a little, as the seasons go on, they get a little bit more out there.
That's a little weird.
But it was, they didn't go into the technical, they were just like, oh, here's this futuristic technology that no one really knows about and it's dangerous and stuff. So, but
and
they
the
talked
other,
about cuttlefish.
This is another really cool one. Octopus it's octopuses, not octopi, by the way. Octopuses,
I still prefer octopi. I don't care.
Octopuses can tell the difference between human beings, so they can recognize people.
Aww.
And they can hate certain people. They can have a grudge against someone for no good reason.
That's awesome. My goose does that sometimes, but he's just moody. He hates us. Awesome. What's his double pleasure, says Beverly, for the shark thing. Yeah. I love all the marine biology facts though, so I think you should do that every episode.
Every episode I'm gonna just drop some facts on you.
Some stuff that I wanted to be when I was growing up: president, CFO, rock star. What else? So, but I guess I can give some CFO, some financial. I don't know anything. These are just things when I wanted when I was little, so I never really looked into any of these things. But someday. Cool. All right. Well, there you have it, folks. Some sharks can sleep. Some sharks have double penises. These are all the hard-hitting facts that we need to know. Motown, that's what Alex wanted to be, a marine biologist when she was younger. So that's why she knows these things.
I still remember them.
Yeah. Cool.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us.
Yeah.
We went off topic, but not as much as normal, I would say.
That's what happened with me. I can't focus.
It's okay. So I will see you guys later. Please, again, walk your fingers over to the like, share, subscribe buttons. We would really appreciate it. Follow us on all the social media platforms that we happen to be on, which is a lot, actually.
Too many.
I'm learning. And we will see you guys next time.
Bye.
Thanks for sticking around until the end. If you're new to Unsafe Space, check out our deep content library that includes discussions with everyone from James Lindsay to Brett Weinstein. And please consider helping to fund our work by visiting unsafespace.com/donate. You can find us on a variety of social media platforms, and you can find a community of like-minded individuals on our Unsafe Space Discord server, which is open to financial supporters at any level. We hope to see you there.
Warning. This is an unsafe space. Dangerous ideas have been detected. The content of this production may be upsetting to Brian Stelter. Please do not expose him to it. For completely legitimate reasons, Taylor Lawrence is requesting any information you may have about the following individuals. The Twitter subroutine appears to be malfunctioning. Pay no attention to it. Did you know that the word liberty is a dog whistle for insurrectionists? If you think about it, no one should be allowed to express opinions. But don't. Think about it, I mean. That's not your job. Thinking has been scientifically proven to be less efficient than compliance. Science, scientific, and scientifically are registered trademarks of the World Economic Forum. Unauthorized use is prohibited. Computer voice courtesy. Never mind, that last line is fake news. Please disregard it and return to your safe space immediately. There will be cake.